Beehives can't always feed themselves during some parts of the year. This is especially true of new beehives like the two I have here in Faewood Acres. I'm going to show you what I feed my bees. We'll talk about what dearth is, and then I'll share with you the dangers of overfeeding. Bees make honey from nectar, but if there isn't a good nectar source around, we feed them sugar syrup. It's a simple mix of water and sugar placed in a feeder in the hive. We want to use regular granulated sugar. Do not use brown sugar, which contains molasses and is toxic to bees. It's not critical that you measure perfectly. I measure by volume using a small pot that I have around. In the summer, when it's dry and flowers are hard to find, I feed them 1-to-1 sugar to water. That means for every scoop of water that I put in the pot, I put an identical scoop of sugar. Start by adding a few scoops of water to your pot and lighting your stove, putting it on the lowest setting. I'm adding some heat just to make the sugar easily dissolve into the water. Cooking it too long or too hot may caramelize it, which isn't good for the bees. You can skip the heating process if you like. You'll just have to stir it a bit longer. Add equal amounts of sugar and water to your pot. Each time I visit the bees, I bring a bucket of syrup made from a 10-pound bag of sugar. If you're heading into wintertime, you'll want to increase your ratio to 2-to-1 sugar to water, which is 2 scoops of sugar for every 1 scoop of water. Keep stirring until you don't feel the gritty texture and the sugar is dissolved. You can turn the heat off before you're done. Now let's put it into our bucket for transporting. It doesn't need to be fancy, just somewhat clean. Remember, bees drink from muddy puddles, so they don't need filtered water and a sanitized container. I've been feeding my hives for several weeks now, since about the middle of July, and now it's the end of September. I've been pretty inconsistent about it, so I worry that I haven't done enough. But we just got to do what we can and try not to stress too much, because this is supposed to be fun. You may have heard the term dearth before. Generally speaking, it means the scarcity of something. And in the context of beekeeping, we mean the lack of available nectar sources. During the hot and usually dry summer months here in Texas, the wildflowers and other nectar-producing sources struggle to survive, and in turn, the bees struggle to make honey. And this is why beekeepers need to feed them, so that the bees can actually make more honey and they don't starve. I'm still not an expert smoker starter. Don't let the flame fool you. I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe not. Maybe I do know what I'm doing. There's something satisfying about that. Oh, okay. Let's not start a wildfire. Enough. Enough playing. Oops. Whoop, whoop. There's a few different kinds of feeders that beekeepers use. A lot of beekeepers use the kind that's like a mason jar and it's fed through a hole, the syrup drips through. That's pretty common. There's another kind of feeder that it fits inside your box and it takes the place of 2 frames and you put the sugar water in there. The good thing about that is everything stays inside your box and you don't have to worry about some other bee or some other animal trying to get into it. This type of feeder that I have here, I like it because it's a separate box. I can remove it pretty easily, and it has 2 chambers. This is where you put the sugar water. The bees access the sugar water through the bottom here, this little cavity. They crawl up from underneath and they enter this little caged area. The little cage allows them to grip onto it so that they can climb up it. They can access the sugar water on the side here without getting into the sugar water and drowning themselves, as bees seem to like to do. Here in Texas, our bees need about 30 pounds of honey to survive the winter. 30 pounds is a lot less than the beekeepers in the north need, but still, 30 pounds is about 5 deeps worth of honey and 8 mediums worth of honey, which is quite a bit. So if your bees don't have that much in their hive, then you should keep feeding them until they do. You know, I don't want to jinx it. These bees are pretty calm right now. The last couple times I've been out here, they were not happy with me. Honey? Honey. If you've ever wondered why I have this tool in the first place, these boxes stick together because the bees seal up all those cracks and make it hard for me to move these boxes. They're both heavy and sticky. Oh man, I bet they're not happy about that. Smoke. Yeah, not happy. Oh, goodness. I am not looking for the queen this time. I'm just looking for honey. I'm just peeking. Lots of honey. So I've heard that bees are really irritated during a dearth, which we're in. So I'm not surprised to see that they are really trying to protect their honey. This is my dragon hive. I counted about 8 medium frames full of honey. And when I went into the deep box here, there was another couple of full honey frames on the outside edges. So I think they have plenty of honey to survive the winter, but it's still 90 degrees here in Texas despite it being September. So I'm going to continue feeding them just to make sure that their reserves don't get depleted. My bucket isn't totally full, so I'm only going to put syrup on one side. This amount of syrup will only last about a week. So I'm probably not feeding them enough, but they do have enough honey for now, so I'm not terribly worried. But as we approach the winter, I will switch this to a 2-to-1 sugar to water ratio. And I'll also find myself another bucket so I can bring more out here and make sure that they don't starve. Let's close it up before they drown themselves. I got a video to do. Leave me alone. Just want to see how much honey they have. This is the Phoenix hive. Try so hard not to kill bees, but it is inevitable. No honey on that one. I can peek down in there. I can see this frame here is all capped honey. That's a good sign. This one is filled with honey. Everything should be filled with honey up until the first empty frame. Empty. And what are y'all doing? Get with it. Winter's coming. Ooh, 2 empty frames. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Alright. They got some honey, some nectar over on this side, and that side is completely empty. And I can see down in there, this frame's looking really good. I'm going to show you this one. Ooh, that's heavy. Yeah. All honey. Look at all that. Mad bees, mad bees, mad. Woo. All right. Smoke screen. You got some larvae in there too. That's good. I got scared for a minute. All I was seeing on this box was only honey. And I wasn't seeing any brood at all, so I got scared. But in the middle of the box, all seems right. Not as much as I'd like, but it's okay. Oh, there she is. There's our queen. See over by my thumb there? Can you see her? She's got the green dot on her. Oh, bees, calm down. I ain't gonna hurt her. Less worries now, less worries. Okay, I'll put you back. I'm trying to be quick. Trying to be quick because they're angry. Mad, mad bees. Oh, I'm so glad my smoker's still going. Alright. Okay. The last thing I'm going to do before I give them some syrup, they are a little light on honey and the dragon hive is doing okay. So I'm going to take 2 frames of honey from the dragon hive and bring them over here to our phoenix hive. Oh, hi bees. Trying to sting me? Yeah, I know. Bees are not happy with you poking around in their house. The phoenix hive is going to get a little bit extra because they are not producing as much honey as I want them to. I am already done. I'm done. Leave me alone. It is possible to overfeed your bees. If they turn all of your syrup into honey and they fill up their frames with only honey, then they're going to be what's called honey bound. That means the queen doesn't have any room left to lay eggs. And if she can't lay eggs, the population will swiftly decline and you'll have all of this honey and no bees left to eat it. Feeding the bees is just another chore that a beekeeper has to keep their apiary alive. I'll keep my fingers crossed that these bees survive this ongoing dearth as well as the upcoming winter. I'll see you next time on Faewood Acres. Beekeeping in Texas in summer in a full suit. I don't recommend it. It's a little sweaty.